The world of One Piece consists of two main powers. The Yonko, who rule the pirate side of things, and the Navy, who represent and stand for justice. Both powers do kind of counterbalance each other. However, in order for the Navy to do so, they did seek help from an intermediate power, called the Warlords. The Warlords represent a group of 7 pirates recognized for their admirable strength. These pirates were scouted by the Navy to bolster the strength of the Navy in the case of an attack by the Yonko. The concessions made by the Navy to obtain the services of these pirates were quite huge and had great impacts reaching all corners of the globe. The Warlords were given special permission to do whatever they wanted and would not be prosecuted by the Navy, even if these actions were focused on nations which fell under the jurisdiction of the world government. Even if their actions went against all the values that the Navy stood for, they would still not be held accountable for their actions as well. They also got their bounties frozen, and could even be given permission to gain access to Impel Down. All of these concessions, of course, raised many eyebrows within the Navy, as well as outside the Navy, as some officers became frustrated by the dependence of the Navy on pirates, whose words could not be trusted. Outside the Navy, the frustrations grew even more, as many islands within the jurisdiction of the world government were plundered by the Warlords, with the Navy doing nothing to help them, despite the fact that they had paid their taxes to the world government. These frustrations led certain members of the Navy to question the way things are run in the system and to aspire for change. This brings us to our video of today. How Oda plans to change the Navy by the end of the story. Let us begin. In order for us to understand the reasons for change, we need to look at a few instances in the story where Oda clearly highlighted the weakness of the Navy and its affiliations to the Warlords as a whole. As previously mentioned, the concessions made by the Navy to obtain the services of the Warlords were huge and had severe impacts on the world at large. The first instance we had of a warlord exploiting the system was showcased in the Alabasta arc, where Sir Crocodile started Operation Utopia, which was the name of the project designed by Crocodile to dispose of King Nefertari Cobra, the king of the kingdom of Arabasta, and to take over the throne of the kingdom. The main goal of the operation was to acquire the ancient weapon Pluton, which was supposedly hidden somewhere in Arabasta, and the weapon was going to be ultimately used for the purpose of creating a utopia capable of competing with the world government. In order to achieve this, he literally took over the nation by portraying himself as a hero and framing the king for the ongoing drought. This almost led to a civil war, which was eventually averted by the Straw Hats, who defeated him and his team. Despite the fact that the kingdom was under the jurisdiction of the world government, the Navy did nothing to help or even prevent this from happening by apprehending Crocodile. A scenario similar to that of Alabasta was also showcased in the kingdom of Dressrosa, where the warlord Don Quixote del Flamingo literally took over the nation after defeating the king and his allies. Unlike Crocodile, Daffy took a step further by transforming some of the citizens into toys and literally used them as slaves to work in the underground factory. Despite the island being under the jurisdiction of the world government, the Navy yet again did nothing to help the denizens of Dressrosa because of Daffy's status as a warlord. In another instance, Marshal D. Teach, who had just been scouted and given the title of warlord, used his status to get access to Impel Down, where he went ahead to free the level 6 inmates, who were literally some of the most notorious criminals in the world, and invited them to join his crew. His disregard for his status did not end there. After escaping from Impel Down, he immediately traveled to Marineford, stole Whitebeard's devil fruit, and decided he was going to sink the whole island into the sea. Finally, during the Marineford arc, some of the warlords did not respect all of their engagements, as Boa Hancock protected Luffy by fighting off Navy officers and pacifistas who were attacking him, and Mihawk literally declined to continue fighting once Shanks appeared. The persistent disregard of the warlords for their status and the incapacity of the Navy to act when needed, coupled with the open racial discrimination exerted by the celestial dragons on humans and other races, prompted some Navy officers to really question the moral standing of the Navy. The Navy is supposed to represent the good guys, but they rather help to accentuate a system that is broken. In One Piece Chapter 1061, Oda revealed the term sword, which refers to a Marine headquarters secret special force that consists of Marines who have formally resigned themselves from the actual command structure of the organization, but still operate on its behalf. Unlike ordinary Marines, members of Sword are allowed the freedom to disregard any orders they choose and can move and act as they please without repercussion, meaning they can take on missions that are normally forbidden or would otherwise require clearance, such as starting a confrontation with one of the four emperors. This is a very important change, but it now literally depends on the convictions of the said Sword members. That is why characters such as Kobe and Helmeppo are very important figures, because we know that these guys will stand on the civilian side and fight for them to the death if they have to, as they see this as their duty as Navy officers. This was exemplified in the Rocky Port incident, where Kobe became known as the hero of the Navy. The flexibility given to Sword members enables them to gain access to first-hand information on the Yonko by taking on the mantle of pirates and spying on them. This was clearly demonstrated when X-Drake informed Kobe of the alliance that was to be made by Kaido and Big Mom. Their flexibility also enables them to engage with the warlords, especially when they go about attacking civilians. This is why I think Sword will steadily become even more important in the future, as they will enjoy tremendous support from the civilians. Finally, in addition, there appears to be some animosity between Sword and CP0, as Guernica did not see any issue in attempting to kill Drake despite both individuals belonging to world government-affiliated organizations. This is huge, because if Sword members successfully thwart the missions of CP0, they would inadvertently halt or even stop the plans of the Gorosei, which we know are always evil in nature. With the goal of the series being the complete destruction of the world government, I do see Sword taking the mantle and heading the Navy at the end of the series. Let me know your thoughts about this in the comment section. Please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel as well. I will catch you guys later.